The Karaka Samhita, compiled over 2,000 years ago, named specific herbs for vision loss in clinical language, dosage, preparation method, application route. Modern ophthalmology is only now running the trials that confirm what those prescriptions already knew. The Karaka Samhita's dedicated chapter on eye disease, called Shalakya Tantra, was not poetry. Pliny the Elder, writing in 77 CE, documented an eyebright-like herb for ocular distress with the same clinical directness. Hildegard von Bingen in the 12th century called it herba oculorum, the herb of eyes. These are not metaphors, these are clinical records. Modern culture treats vision loss as a pharmaceutical problem to solve. These civilizations treated it as a botanical problem already solved. Modern science is not discovering these herbs, it is catching up to them. At number 13, a herb that Royal Air Force pilots ate as jam before nighttime bombing raids to sharpen their night vision, and the compound responsible is now studied for retinal cell regeneration. At number 7, a spice worth more than gold in ancient Persia, recorded in Avicenna's Canon of Medicine, and in a modern randomized clinical trial, patients who took it held their visual functions stable while the comparison group deteriorated. And at number 1, a 3-herb Ayurvedic formula prescribed in the Karaka Samhita for disorders of the eye, investigated in modern research as a potential protective agent against cataract progression, one of the leading causes of global blindness. Here are 15 forgotten herbs that naturally restore your vision before it fades. The eyes are the second most complex organ in the human body and the most common destroyers of vision: age-related macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts, diabetic retinopathy. All share 2 core mechanisms: oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. Every herb on this list carries at least one ancient name and at least one modern study. This is not medical advice. It is ancient wisdom meeting modern science. See your eye care professional. And by number 5, you may recognize a spice already sitting in your kitchen, hiding a secret your ancestors already knew. Number 15, fennel, Feniculum vulgare, the herb Pliny called the eye's restorer. Pliny the Elder, writing in Naturalis Historia in 77 CE, referenced fennel as beneficial to the eyes. Ayurvedic classical texts classify it as a cooling, pitta-pacifying herb used to reduce ocular inflammation and eye fatigue. The ancient Greeks named an entire battlefield after it. The word marathon derives from the Greek word for fennel. And they tied the plant to sight and alertness. A study published in the year 2000 found that aqueous fennel seed extract reduced intraocular pressure in glaucoma patients. Its active compound, anethol, carries documented anti-inflammatory properties. Brewed as a cooled tea, chewed as seeds in the Ayurvedic tradition, or pressed as a compress against closed eyes, fennel was doing what modern eye drops attempt, centuries before the drops existed. And if fennel sounds too simple, wait until you hear what the 14th entry did on a battlefield. Number 14, goji berry, wolfberry, Lycium barbarum, the red berry TCM, called the liver's gift to the eyes. The Sheneng Benkao Jing, the Divine Farmer's Classic of Roots and Herbs, compiled around 200 CE, lists wolfberry as a qi tonic for the liver, with vision improvement documented as a direct secondary effect. Tibetan medicine used goji for kidney and liver restoration, and the connection to eye health was explicit, not incidental. The ancient understanding embedded in traditional Chinese medicine is the liver-eye axis, the principle that ocular health is metabolically downstream of liver function. Modern research confirms zeaxanthin concentration in goji berry as a retinal protector. A clinical trial published in a peer-reviewed journal in 2021 showed that the wolfberry component produced sympathetic dilation effects, improving near-vision accommodation in presbyopia patients. A small daily handful as a raw snack, brewed as tea, added to soups and broths. The ancient world linked your liver to your eyes. Modern science is starting to agree. Number 13, bilberry, Vaccinium myrtillus, the jam that sharpened the night sky. European folk herbalists used bilberry for eye conditions for centuries, and 14th century herbalist records include its use specifically for vision. Then came the Second World War. Royal Air Force pilots reportedly ate bilberry jam before nighttime bombing raids to sharpen their night vision. The story may have partly served as wartime cover for radar advances, but it drove the first modern scientific investigations into the herb, and those investigations found something real. Bilberry's active compounds are anthocyanins, specifically delphinidin and cyanidin glycosides. Research shows these anthocyanins accumulate directly in retinal tissue, help regenerate rhodopsin, the light-sensitive pigment the eye uses for night vision, and reduce capillary permeability in the retinal vasculature. Bilberry has been studied for glaucoma, cataracts, and macular degeneration. Take it as a standardized extract, brew it as a dried tea, or eat it as jam, as the pilots did. Which of these herbs have you already heard of? Drop it in the comments. Rhodopsin regeneration is just one mechanism. The next herb works on a completely different battlefield, your optic nerve. But first, consider this. These herbs were not merely believed to work. They were documented with use instructions, preparation methods, and application routes in texts that predate modern ophthalmology by 1,500 years. That is not folklore. That is a clinical archive waiting to be reopened. Number 12. Chamomile. Matricaria chamomilla. Sacred to Ra, studied by modern retinal researchers. Ancient Egyptians dedicated chamomile to the sun god Ra. It appeared in sacred botanical preparations and in historical European pharmacopoeias as a compress for eye inflammation and fatigue. The dedication to Ra was not purely ceremonial. Sun exposure is one of the most well-documented risk factors for oxidative eye damage, and chamomile was the herb ancient Egyptians placed between their eyes and the sun. Its active compound is apigenin, a flavonoid studied for anti-inflammatory effects on ocular tissue. Research on chamomile compresses shows reduction in eye irritation and conjunctival redness. Brew it, cool it, and apply it as a compress over closed eyes. Combine it with bilberry for a deeper anti-inflammatory infusion. Drink it as a tea for systemic antioxidant support. Blue light filter glasses are a 21st century invention. This flower was doing the work 3,000 years ago. Number 11. Milk thistle. Silybum marianum, the liver herb that secretly guards your eyes. Dioscorides, writing his foundational De Materia Medica around 70 CE, documented milk thistle as a liver herb. Traditional Chinese medicine and European herbalism both held the liver-eye connection as a foundational principle of ocular health. The logic is precise. The liver stores fat-soluble vitamins A and E, activates B vitamins, and holds glutathione, all critical for retinal repair. Milk thistle guards the warehouse that supplies the eyes. Its active compound, silymarin, carries antioxidant properties studied in the context of eye disease protection through the hepatic pathway. Take it as a standardized silymarin extract, brew the seeds as a tea, or grind them into food. Eye vitamin supplements bypass the liver. Milk thistle strengthens the organ that processes those vitamins. The next herb doesn't protect the eyes through the liver. It goes straight for the blood vessels feeding the retina. Number 10. Eyebright. Euphrasia officinalis, named after gladness because it gave sight back. The name Euphrasia derives from the Greek euphrosine, gladness, one of the three graces of Zeus. Pliny the Elder mentioned an eyebright-like herb for ocular distress. Hildegard von Bingen, the 12th century physician and mystic, called it herba ocularum and prescribed it to brighten the sight. John Gerard illustrated it in the Herbal in 1597, noting its use in eye salves and poultices. By the 18th century, eyebright tinctures appeared in official European pharmacopoeias. The flower itself resembles an eye. Medieval herbalists used the doctrine of signatures to identify it. But whether that correspondence was coincidence or observation, the plant's chemistry validates the tradition. Its active compounds include aucubin, an iridoid glycoside that inhibits the COX-2 inflammatory pathway, and luteolin, a flavonoid with antihistamine action. A 2015 pilot study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found that an eyebright compress significantly reduced redness and discomfort in mild conjunctivitis. A 2018 Austrian trial showed that daily euphrasia drops produced approximately 30% reduction in itching and tearing compared to placebo. A European clinical study found that a single dose of eyebright eye drops led to complete recovery in 81.5% of conjunctivitis subjects. Drink it as a tea. Apply a cooled, sterile infusion compress on closed eyes. Use a standardized tincture. Antihistamine eye drops are the modern prescription. Hildegard of Bingen wrote this prescription in the 12th century. Eyebright soothes the eye's surface. The next herb targets what lies behind it, the optic nerve itself. Number 9. Ginkgo biloba, the 250-million-year-old tree that feeds your retina. Ginkgo originated during the Permian era, approximately 250 million years ago. It was cultivated in China and Japan for both food and medicine across centuries. Li Shizhen documented its medicinal properties in the Bencao Gangmu in 1596. Traditional Chinese medicine classified ginkgo as a circulatory herb, and the eye, one of the highest blood flow demand organs in the human body, was the natural downstream beneficiary of improved circulation. Its active compounds are flavonoids, constituting 24 to 27% of the standardized EGB 761 extract, and terpenoids including ginkgolides and bilobalide. A randomized controlled trial showed that 80 milligrams of GBE taken twice daily for 4 weeks produced a statistically significant increase in retinal blood flow in normal tension glaucoma patients compared to placebo. Multiple clinical studies show improved ocular perfusion pressure. The nitric oxide pathway produces vasodilation as one documented mechanism. Ginkgo has been studied for age-related macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, and glaucoma. Use the standardized EGB 761 extract, standardized to 24% flavone glycosides. Caution: Ginkgo interacts with blood-thinning medications. Medical consultation is required before use. IOP-lowering drugs address the pressure side of glaucoma. Ginkgo addresses the vascular starvation that also destroys vision. The tree, older than the dinosaurs, still remembers how to feed a human eye. Ginkgo improves the blood supply to the retina. The next herb does something more direct. It protects the retina's light-sensing cells from destruction. Before number 8, you need to hear what the research actually found. In a longitudinal study running nearly 29 months, saffron treated patients with age-related macular degeneration held their visual function completely stable, while the group taking lutein and zeaxanthin, the current gold standard AMD supplement, actually deteriorated. That result was published in a peer-reviewed journal. A kitchen spice outperformed the standard of care. Number 8. Saffron, Crocus sativus, the spice of empires, and the retina's unexpected guardian. Avicenna documented saffron as medicinal in his Canon of Medicine in 1025 CE. Ancient Persia used it as both culinary gold and healing agent. Ancient Egyptians and Greeks recorded saffron as an eye-brightening botanical. It is one of the oldest documented spices in human history, and its astronomical price was never only for flavor. Ancient traders called it the healer of eyes. Modern science is explaining exactly why. Its active compounds are crocin and crocetin, carotenoids with retinal affinity. The PMC published longitudinal study spanning 29 months showed saffron patients maintained stable retinal function in early AMD while the lutein and zeaxanthin group deteriorated. A separate randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial confirmed improved retinal flicker sensitivity with saffron supplementation. Research has also investigated saffron's activity through MMP3 pathway regulation in retinal tissue. Clinical study doses ranged from 20 to 30 milligrams per day. Stir it into warm milk or tea in the traditional preparation. Be aware that therapeutic doses differ significantly from culinary amounts. Avicenna wrote this prescription in 1025. The peer-reviewed trial confirmed it 1,000 years later. Saffron stabilized AMD. The next herb doesn't slow the disease. It targets the pressure that blinds from within. Number 7. Coleus, forskolin. Coleus forskolli. The Ayurvedic root that lowers eye pressure without a prescription. Used in Ayurvedic medicine for centuries, referenced in Indian traditional botanical records for cardiovascular and ocular conditions, Coleus forskolli belongs to the tradition of the Karaka Samhita's plant pharmacopoeia. Ayurvedic practitioners identified what they called eye fire, pressure, inflammation, and heat in the ocular tissues, as a systemic problem with a botanical solution. The active compound is forskolin. Research has shown that forskolin activates adenylyl cyclase, reducing the production of aqueous humor inside the eye. That is the same fundamental mechanism targeted by pharmaceutical glaucoma drops, the same biological pathway accessed through a different door. It has been studied alongside pilocarpine, a pharmaceutical standard, as a comparative agent. Use a standardized forskolin extract. This herb should complement, not replace, prescribed glaucoma medication. Consult your ophthalmologist. The root reads the same biochemistry as the prescription pad. Forskolin mimics the pressure-lowering mechanism of prescription drops. The next herb takes a different route, through your bloodstream. Number 6. Turmeric, curcumin, Curcuma longa, the golden root, that guards the retina from diabetic fire. Both the Karaka Samhita and the Sushruta Samhita, the foundational texts of Ayurvedic medicine, document turmeric as a systemic anti-inflammatory agent. It has been used in Indian traditional medicine for over 4,000 years. Ancient Egyptians also used turmeric as medicine. Ancient Ayurvedic physicians understood that systemic inflammation flows downstream into the eye. They prescribed turmeric not as eye medicine, but as body medicine that would protect the eyes as a consequence. Modern diabetic retinopathy research is proving that logic directly. The active compound is curcumin. It has been studied in investigative ophthalmology and visual science for uveitis, diabetic retinopathy, and AMD through inflammatory pathway modulation. A rat study showed that curcumin eye drops reduced retinal cell loss by inhibiting oxidative stress. Research suggests protective effects against dry eye and cataract formation. One critical note: curcumin requires piperine from black pepper or a fat source to absorb effectively. The traditional preparation, turmeric with black pepper and fat in warm milk, is not just culinary habit. It is bioavailability engineering written 4,000 years before pharmacokinetics had a name. Use it in golden milk, in morning juice with raw root, or as a standardized curcumin extract with piperine. Turmeric fights the fire. Number 5 replenishes what the fire destroys. Number 5. Amla, Indian gooseberry. Philanthus emblica, the most vitamin C dense fruit in the Karaka Samhita. Amla is one of the 3 primary fruits in the Triphala formula documented in the Karaka Samhita and one of the most sacred fruits in Indian tradition. It has been used specifically for eye health in Ayurvedic practice for thousands of years. Ancient Ayurvedic physicians called it Amlaki, the nurse, because it was understood to protect and actively regenerate tissue. Its applications in eye care were not symbolic, they were practical prescriptions. Its active compounds include tannins, flavonoids, and vitamin C in concentrations among the highest known in any natural food source. Studied as a component of Triphala for cataract prevention in animal models, its antioxidant profile directly addresses the oxidative mechanism underlying lens clouding. Eat raw amla fruit when available. Dissolve dried amla powder in water. Drink amla juice as a morning practice, following classical Ayurvedic protocol, or take it as part of the complete Triphala preparation. Synthetic vitamin C supplements deliver one molecule. Amla delivers a full-spectrum polyphenol and vitamin C matrix that ancient physicians built an entire eye care protocol around. Have you ever tried Triphala? Tell us below. The community needs to hear from people already using this. Amla may protect the lens. The next herb protects the nerve that carries what the lens sees. Number 4. Passion flower, Passiflora incarnata. The forgotten relaxant that relieves ocular microvascular tension. Native American tribes used passion flower medicinally long before European contact. Spanish missionaries documented it in the 16th century. European herbal medicine absorbed it by the 17th. Traditions adjacent to traditional Chinese medicine used it for circulatory calming. Historical herbalism recorded its role in eye-related tension and strain. Ancient healers observed that stress and tight vessels caused eye problems long before the concept of intraocular microvascular pressure had a clinical definition. They were describing the same mechanism. Passion flower's active compounds include the flavonoids chrysin and vitexin, documented to relax small blood vessels. Traditional herbalism and TCM-adjacent practice note its effect on ocular microcirculation. Direct clinical trials specifically on passion flower for ocular blood pressure are an area where further research is required. Brew it as an infusion before bed. Use a standardized extract. Combine it with other calming, nervine herbs. Modern screen-driven eye strain is ocular stress in a new form. This herb was addressing tight vessels for centuries. Passion flower relaxes. Number 3 cleanses, and the ancient prescription was used as an eye wash. Before you hear it, recognize what you have been witnessing across this entire list. If you are noticing a pattern here, you are right. These herbs were known long before modern health culture rediscovered them. Ayurvedic physicians, Chinese herbalists, Persian physicians, and medieval European healers were all describing the same biological mechanisms: oxidative stress, vascular restriction, inflammatory damage, using different languages but targeting the same organs. Modern science is not discovering this, it is translating it. Number 3. Calendula, Calendula officinalis, the flower of medieval eye clinics. Medieval European herbalists used calendula in eye washes and compresses. Historical herbalists documented its role in treating conjunctival inflammation. It appeared in European pharmacopoeias as a standard ocular anti-inflammatory. Ancient Egyptians used it as a rejuvenating botanical. Here is what medieval physicians did not know they were doing. Calendula's deep golden pigment contains lutein and zeaxanthin, the exact carotenoids now present in every major modern eye health supplement. The AREDS2 trial, the landmark NIH-funded study on age-related macular degeneration, confirmed that lutein and zeaxanthin significantly reduce the risk of AMD progression. Medieval eye clinics were pressing those compounds against the eye as a compress before the compounds had names. Its active profile includes lutein, zeaxanthin, flavonoids, and triterpenoids. Lutein accumulates in the macular pigment. Zeaxanthin blocks damaging blue light from reaching the inner retina. Brew it as a petal tea. Press a cooled calendula chamomile compress against tired eyes. Use it as a tincture. Add the petals to food. The synthetic lutein and zeaxanthin capsule is a 20th century product. The medieval eye wash was delivering the same compounds centuries earlier. Calendula contained AREDS2 before AREDS2 existed. And number 2 reaches back to the oldest eye prescription in recorded medical history. Number 2. Haritaki, Terminalia chebula, the king of medicines, prescribed for the eye by Karaka himself. Haritaki is the second of the 3 fruits in the Triphala formula. The Karaka Samhita names it among the most powerful rejuvenative herbs in the entire Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia. Tibetan medicine calls it the king of medicines. It was documented specifically for eye disease in Ayurvedic texts alongside Triphala preparation and eye wash protocols. Tibetan Buddhism placed Haritaki in the raised hand of the medicine Buddha. This was not decoration, it was a declaration. the most powerful herb in the Tibetan pharmacopoeia, and the eye was among its documented primary targets. Its active compounds include chabulic acid, gallic acid, and ellagic acid, a profile of potent antioxidants. PMC-cited research confirms that Triphala, with Haritaki as a core component, has been studied for cataract protection in mouse models. The antioxidant profile directly combats the oxidative stress mechanisms underlying cataracts, AMD, and glaucoma. Research specifically isolating Haritaki in large-scale human retinal trials is an area where further investigation is required. Dissolve Triphala powder, of which Haritaki is a central component, in warm water following the traditional Ayurvedic preparation. Take Haritaki powder with honey, as documented in Karika's own preparation method. Prepare a Triphala eye wash with strict sterile technique. Modern antioxidant eye supplements are a recent invention. The herb Tibetan monks called the King of Medicines has been inside the oldest eye formula in recorded history for 2,000 years. The King of Medicines is still waiting to be fully understood. Haritaki is number 2, which means number 1 is the complete Ayurvedic formula that contains Haritaki, amla, and a third fruit, and it has now been studied in a laboratory. Number 1. Triphala. Amla plus Haritaki plus Bibitaki. The complete eye prescription, from the Karaka Samhita to the modern laboratory. Triphala, meaning 3 fruits, is documented in both the Karaka Samhita and the Ashtanga Hridayam as a formula specifically prescribed for eye disease. The Ayurvedic tradition describes a dedicated Triphala eye wash protocol, Netra Tarpana, that has been practiced in an unbroken line for over 2,000 years. Modern Ayurvedic eye care clinics still use it in its original form. The ancient physicians did not prescribe one herb. They prescribed the system, 3 fruits working together across 3 distinct biological pathways: antioxidant protection through amla, anti-inflammatory action through Haritaki, and astringent detoxifying activity through Bibitaki. This is systems medicine written 2,000 years before the term existed. Its active compounds span tannins, gallic acid, chabulic acid, ellagic acid, vitamin C, and flavonoids across all 3 fruits together. PMC-indexed research has investigated Triphala in the context of glaucoma, cataract prevention in animal models, and oxidative stress reduction in ocular tissues. Multiple peer-reviewed studies confirm its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity across the 3 primary mechanisms responsible for the most common vision-destroying diseases. Large-scale human randomized controlled trials specifically targeting Triphala for major eye disease endpoints remain an active area where further research is needed. Take a quarter to half teaspoon of Triphala powder dissolved in warm water in the evening, following the classical Karaka protocol. For the eye wash, preparation demands strict sterility. Boiled water, fully cooled, filtered through sterile cloth, use the same day, never improvised, or use a standardized Triphala capsule as a daily supplement. Modern ophthalmology has no single pharmaceutical formula that simultaneously targets oxidative stress, inflammation, and intraocular tissue detoxification. Triphala has been doing all 3 as one complete prescription for 2,000 years. The Karaka Samhita didn't give you one herb, it gave you a system, and the laboratory is now catching up. These 15 herbs represent a continuous thread of human observation, from Ayurvedic physicians to Persian court doctors to medieval European herbalists to wartime military reports, all converging on the same biological truth. The eye is vulnerable to oxidative fire, inflammatory damage, and vascular starvation, and the plant world has been offering solutions for millennia. The question is not whether these herbs work. The question is why modern culture stopped asking them. Subscribe and save this list. Share it with someone whose vision is already fading. And if you want the preparation guide, dosage, method, and what to combine, that is in the next video.